Paris, arguably the most recognised brand around the world. This little product is really in the most far-reaching places in the world, little remote villages of India, Papua New Guinea, you name it. How does it feel to be country manager in Switzerland for such a brand?
It's exciting. It's exciting. It could not have been more exciting, especially nowadays, where there is so much changing around the world and with the consumer tastes and preferences.
And clearly Coca-Cola is still a favourite product. Is it true that only 2 people in the world know the recipe to Coca-Cola?
I do believe so. I'm not one of them.
OK, so it isn't a traditional product, but of course the company has evolved. Maybe just talk to me about some of those innovations. How does the company continue to evolve to match the changing world?
Well, it's rather simple. We just need to listen to the consumer and what the consumer wants. And the changes in terms of preferences have been, massive. Consumers, they just don't drink now soda. They drink iced teas, juices, waters, plant-based drinks. So in essence, our innovation is all about matching these needs. It's all about giving to the people the brands and the drinks that they need.
So tastes are clearly changing.
Absolutely.
And does it vary depending on where you are in the world?
Well, yes.
In Switzerland, for example, what are the tastes, would you say? What are the trends in tastes here?
Well, something that is trending a lot is plant-based drinks. When it comes to the flavors, Swiss, it's a very specific one, is ginger. And although there might be specificities per country, certainly there are some commonalities. For example, ginger is trending quite a lot in Australia as well.
So ginger, for example, you've added that ingredient to Coca-Cola, and specifically for the Swiss market.
Yes, we are actually the only market, at least in the vicinity of Europe, that has ginger in the Coke Zero sugar range. And it's not only that, there are some other more flavors, such as lemon, that resonates quite a lot with the Swiss consumers, and we're getting overwhelming positive feedback from the consumers as well.
And how do you know? How do you know that the Swiss like ginger?
Well, first of all, we talk. We talk with our brands. And the best way is how often the consumers are buying this. But before we get into that, you actually see it in many other drinks that the consumers enjoy, and you see it as well on the shelves when you go to the outlet, when you go to the store. This is where actually, the truth is. This is where the passion and the desires of the people are met. How
do you overcome criticisms over sugar, for example? Clearly, Coca-Cola is named when it comes to people being overweight. Do you feel responsible? Well, we operate in an industry that has sugar in its products. And although sugar in moderation is fine, too much sugar is not good for anyone. So yes, we do feel responsible. The problem is complex. There is no silver bullet around this. That is why we put it at the center of our business strategy. And what is that strategy? How do you say, look, we're going to give those people less sugar? Well, there's a number of things. Let me start with the first one, is taking out sugar from the existing products. An example, last year, Sprite, one of our biggest brands, we took out 64% of the sugar that is contained in the drink while maintaining the same or even better taste. Another way that actually we can do it is we can shift the spotlight, allow me to say, to the no sugar variants. So people, they are aware that, you know what, you enjoy Coke. There is a delicious Coke taste with 0 sugar. So it's all about putting our marketing skills, what we are famous for, and the argument being, though, Paris, that often people do say, nutritionists say, that you're better off having the original product with the sugar, maybe less of it, as opposed to a product that's being sweetened unnaturally so. Yeah, and again, putting the consumer in the center of everything that we do. Consumer tastes change. They just don't drink, people that don't drink just sodas, they drink iced teas, they drink juices. And this is how we are changing. Coke is just more than its favorite drink, Coca-Cola. And that is why, especially in Switzerland, in 2018, we bring in 4 amazing brands into the market. And talk about the packaging, because do you feel a responsibility to educate people through the packaging before we get to the environmental issue? Well,
packaging is something that, again, comes from what we are hearing from the consumers. So what consumers want is smaller, more convenient packages. This is just either because they're going to drink less of something that they like, such as Coke Original, or perhaps they're going to easier control the sugar that they take from the drinks.
Sounds like a reversal of the super size me.
Well, yes, and this is what the consumers actually want. And I guess that is all that Coke is all about really listening and trying to provide the most when it comes to the tastes and convenience of our consumers.
Now, of course, plastic is a huge problem in our world, in our society, a very difficult problem to tackle. What is Coca-Cola's role? Because, of course, a lot of the packaging you've used in the past and continue to use is plastic. Waste
is a big issue, is a big problem, and definitely we have a big responsibility in that. But allow me to say we have a great opportunity to actually solve the problem and move much more closer to a circular economy. And here, there are just two things. One is all about collection and recycling, and the other thing is about the designing of the plastic bottles.
And talk about how does the design of a plastic bottle help the environment?
Let me bring some context. Switzerland. In Switzerland, we recycle 82% of all plastic bottles, and it's not just us, it's the entire industry. And you know what? 82%, this is the highest in the world for any market that doesn't have any mandatory deposit system. Globally, we aspire for a world without waste. And that means 100% of everything that we sell or the equivalent of such that we are able to collect and recycle. So in Switzerland, living in such, let's say, high-quality standard country with such a big recycling, it's all about how do we take the experiences and the learnings and cascade it to the rest of the markets that we operate, but at the same time further pushing the boundaries. How much more than the 82%? The
big issue, as you rightly said, that globally it doesn't function as well as perhaps a country like Switzerland. But you mentioned something very special, zero waste. Yes. How on earth can you achieve zero waste? Yeah, how do you give it to the consumer if you don't have a package?
Well, I mean, when it comes to the waste, let's first of all think about why we have the plastic containers. I mean, the plastic containers, when it comes to food and beverages, they really helped us a lot in our modern lives. Without that, we wouldn't have hydration on the go. Without this, we wouldn't have, let's say, food spoilages. And also, very importantly, when it comes to the times in need, how we would actually, provide hydration that we need. An example, back in 2017, especially after the aftermath of the hurricanes in the Americas, Coke, together with their bottlers, we provided 1.4 million plastic bottles of water for the people in need. So there are a lot of benefits, first of all, that come with plastic beverages, and of course, it's all about us getting these benefits either by designing them better or responsibly disposing them.
So the plastics themselves could be improved, the materials and also
Absolutely.
The recycling process.
Coke is doing quite a lot about this. Let me bring two examples. First of all, for every plastic bottle that we have in Switzerland and we sell, 41% is coming from recycled plastic. What does this mean practically?
Is that the world over or in Switzerland?
That's Switzerland, and it is the highest of our industry. So what does this mean? Is that we give every plastic bottle a second and a third life. So we aspire for 50%. There is a lot of science that we have to solve, but it is a very interesting problem to solve.
Is that down to regulation in Switzerland, or is that just pure opportunity because these policies and this infrastructure is in place here?
Well, because the problem, exactly as you mentioned, is rather complex. It's not just the industries that they come together in order to solve it. It's the NGOs, it's the state. So it's the educational systems as well. In Switzerland, the most important thing is that the children at school, they get to know about recycling and about responsible disposing at a very young age. So it's really embedded in the fibre of the society.
And how much do you attribute this wanting to change, to push and drive change to Coca-Cola as a company or to our changing society? Society now demands a cleaner product, a healthier product. So are you not then driven and pushed to do this?
Well, it is part of our strategy, and this is listening to the consumer and listening to their demands, to their tastes, but as well to their concerns. So once you start doing this, then things, they do not become separate from your business strategy. They are the business strategy. Sugar is our part, it is part of our business strategy. Plastic and waste, it is part of our business strategy.
And when you refer to this strategy, I think you call it a total beverage company. What does that mean exactly?
Very simple. People, they drink all types of drinks. Sodas, iced teas, juices, waters. We actually provide to the people the drinks and the brands that they need so that we can actually make everyday moments more enjoyable by doing the right things.
How active is Coca-Cola in water these days? Because I know it was criticised for a while in terms of, leaping on that wagon of producing water, having water brands when it's actually something that should be free to everybody, maybe.
Well, absolutely, but the packaged water provides completely something different, and of course, it comes with a lot of history and as well different functionalities. Let me put an example. We are really honored to have Valser in Switzerland. Valser has many functionalities, such as a lot of minerals, such as calcium and magnesium, that you need for your daily functioning. On top of that, let's not forget, hydration on the go would not have been possible. And it's so much needed, especially in the fast-moving world.
So clearly, with a huge product range, you can make money, more money. But let's just talk about the specifics to Switzerland. You mentioned ginger.
Yes.
Being particular to Switzerland, also the recycling aspect. What else is special to Switzerland for your business?
What is so special? 91% of the Swiss consumers, they really take great attention to their diet. And we know from the nutritionists that more than 50% of what we consume should be coming from plants. And of course, there is a growing awareness of allergies and intolerances, such as the lactose intolerance. So in Switzerland, and this is the exciting times, we are launching Ades. Ades is a plant-based drink that is made out of almonds, soy, or oat, and it's exactly what the consumers need.
You're quite late to the market there, aren't you, Paris?
Well, actually, it is a very small yet segment, and it is very fast growing, especially because of these trends of the holistic vision of health that the consumers have, or mindful living. So it is the right time actually to launch such a product and to further grow the specific type of drinks.
And what hasn't been successful as a product in Switzerland?
Well, it depends on your mindset and how do you see
Have you had to take one off the shelves, for example?
Yes. Very recently, Coca-Cola Life. It's something that recognized a huge success 2-3 years ago. It was very relevant with the Swiss consumers. Nevertheless, by listening to the Swiss consumers, we have been able to understand two things. Consumers, they want to be surprised, and they want speed. They want to be surprised, especially very often. So this is where ginger comes in, because it's as well very relevant to the Swiss consumers. But allow me to say that once the weather gets a bit colder, hopefully not too soon, then ginger is going to give its place to cinnamon.
When you think of the brand Coca-Cola, I mean, over the years, it's been brought into fashion. It's more than just a drink, right?
Yes.
How do you think that brand is still perceived in Switzerland? Is it still cool?
So, what is Coke? What is a Coke moment? It's all about the making moments special, at least talking about me. It's all about, sharing my moments with the people that, I like to hang out, the people that I love. It's all about making moments memorable.
Is it something you have to work at to keep the brand alive. And
Absolutely, absolutely. We have been around for the last 132 years, in Switzerland for the last 82 years. So definitely you will have to nurture these characteristics of the brand and make them relevant as time passes by.
And the fact that you have to keep changing your products or thinking about new ingredients to put in your product means that you can't just stand still. You really have to work at it.
Absolutely. What keeps us really up at night and what really made us, be around for 82 years in Switzerland is our entrepreneurial culture. And here I'd like to refer to things that we try to further nurture. That's empowerment and as well learning. Learning from testing, learning from listening.
Is everything imported or is some of the products produced in Switzerland?
Well, we're a Swiss company. 80%, more than 80% of the products that they are consumed in Switzerland, they are actually produced here. And we have two plants, 800 very passionate people. And the value that is added back to the Swiss economy is more than £1 billion.
And do you have any concerns when it comes to a stronger Swiss franc and customers shopping across borders?
Well, times now for Coke could not have been more exciting. As I mentioned, we're launching 4 new brands. And it's exactly because this is what the consumers want. And as well, we are further refreshing our current business, making it especially much more relevant. So by focusing to the consumer, we believe that we will bring significantly much more value back to the Swiss economy and as well keeping ourselves especially much more energized.
You launched a product called Honest Tea.
Oh, yes.
How popular has that been? Is that specifically for the Swiss market?
Yes. Again, we are driving a little bit, some things a little bit, especially in this part of the world. Honest is a very special product. It is a simpler recipe. It is a tea, first of all, an organic brewed one, and that has just a bit of sugar. A great story, like with the leaves coming from Asia, hand-picked. And again, it taps into a much more growing segment from a small base in Switzerland of organic products.
Yeah. But it does sound like it's just not enough to have that Coca-Cola brand. You do have to really try and pull in the customers by having teas and having the plant-based products. Well,
again, it's all about listening to the consumers. It's not about, saying what people should drink. It's all about understanding the trends. As I mentioned, the organic trend is really something that really speaks to the consumers, especially in Switzerland. Did you know that in Switzerland, we have the highest spending per capita in the world when it comes to the organic? So this is a trend worthwhile, really listening and, of course, offering something much more special.
And when you say the organic, you mean an organic food product?
Yes.
OK, so that's clearly winning over the sugary sodas at the moment. Maybe I can just ask you a few personal questions, Paris,
Please.
Because you're not traditionally a fizzy drinks man. You come from finance, I believe. So what brought you to this red-labelled company that's actually responsible for the colour that we now perceive Father Christmas as, right?
Yeah, well, yes, obviously you may have noticed from my pronunciation so far, I'm a Greek native. What really drove me in all my life, and as well in my previous profession, is to understand much better how value has been created and how we can really have a positive impact into the environment. So in my current role for the last 2 years, it's the best position for me, really to learn and contribute much more.
And do you find Switzerland a good environment to be in when it comes to business?
Well, Switzerland is a unique place. Both for people and for businesses. Is one of the global centers when it comes to finance and business. But allow me to say, it's a more on a personal note. It's really the welcome that Switzerland brings, whether it's people or businesses. Specifically to me, I can always refer to the example of my local community participating in the local city hall sessions and really seeing the people curious about my point of view and really wanting to interact. So really a sense of...
And which part of Switzerland are you referring to?
Zurich, actually.
That's where you're living?
That's where I'm living, yes, for the last 11 years. So people... what you receive as an Auslander is really the value of inclusiveness. People wanting to understand you. It's all about diversity, plenty, when it comes to cultural backgrounds, but as well different points of views. And most importantly, something that I think it's very unique in Switzerland is this notion of continuous improvement. Really never settling. And this is something that I try to nurture in our Swiss business as well.
Very refreshing thoughts, thank you. And Paris, if you had to perhaps change one thing about Coca-Cola in Switzerland,
yes,
and how you can improve, what are maybe your main challenges right now?
It's, I mean, it's just one. It's like understand what consumers want. And this is not only just my challenge, it's the challenge of the whole team that we have in Switzerland. A very passionate, diverse team, really trying with many different ways to listen and to learn. I'll give you an example. We have a new brand as well among the fours, which is called Royal Bliss. This is a premium mixers, basically, for cocktails, mocktails. Well, the person that was responsible from my team for the brand, he actually went beyond his normal boundaries. He met with barmen, with 2 recognized barmen, and trying to understand how our portfolio should look like. So it's not about us believing that this is like what kind of different flavors we should have. It's actually engaging with the barmen and the bar owners, understand their needs, and the most important thing, us telling us how our portfolio should look like next year.
So clearly ideas come from the consumer, but also your employees that are actually out and about meeting people that are having drinks on the street or in bars. How do you keep the motivation alive at work?
Working with Coca-Cola or at Coca-Cola.
So you really feel the brand from the US? Does it spill over into Switzerland?
Many times I just received many messages on my phone from many people working across Switzerland, not just Zurich, sharing with me pictures. Either it's our products or something interesting that they have seen that we can further improve. So really you feel the vibe and the passion in, and it's just beyond just the normal working hours. It's, and this is Coke. It's part of our life. And when I'm talking about Coke, just all our brands.
And how connected are you globally?
That's a great advantage that we have. We are a Swiss company, but we are able to take advantage of the presence that we have in many countries. It's all about getting to know the best practices. So we don't have to actually reinvent the wheel. If something works good in one market, then potentially, you know, like we can have it in a second market, adapt it, and then try it.
Fast forwarding into the future, of course, you've got all the answers there. How will Coca-Cola look like? What will be on our shelves 10 years from now?
I'm afraid that I don't have the answers. But I do know that, or perhaps what I envision in 10 years from now, I would see a company that is further innovative, is really continuing listening to the consumers, bringing new, innovative things that we don't have currently in our portfolio. And if I'm to bet on something, I would like to still enjoy a nice Coke 10 years from now.
Still with the same look and feel that hasn't changed so much?
For the last 132 years.
And just any patterns that you're spotting with how consumers are behaving? Clearly sugar is an obvious one, and diet, but anything that we might not know about?
Well, it's, I can refer to 2 things. One is the whole notion about letting go. Playing hard. So, and this is something that doesn't come only from the younger cultures, and it's not only, you know, coming from, you know, like outside of Switzerland, especially the Germanic cultures that they were praising moderation. Now it's all about indulgence. So the occasions, if I may say, of after work or vacation, they will gain a lot of importance. Something else that is so much relevant is this notion of mindful living. And here I'm referring not only to how you treat your body and your brain, but as well, what are your expectations from the environment. So this is where the notion of recycling, sorting, preserving the water resources are so important.
Paris, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.